Thank you, Matt. Let's bring in Dan Hoffman. He's the Fox News contributor, of course, former CIA station's chief who served in Moscow. Dan, good morning to you. So Putin, we just heard he made the big Victory Day speech. I guess the headline from it was that he said that the invasion of Ukraine was necessary because he claims the West was going to invade Russia. Obviously a lie, trying to justify this war. But he really made no major announcements, and he was expected to. What do you make of that?
Yeah, actually, I wasn't that surprised that he didn't make those sorts of announcements. I think he knows that general mobilization would be very unpopular right now in Russia, especially to fight a war that Russia was supposed to win in days, and now it's in Russia's third month. And no amount of Kremlin propaganda is going to change that.
Interesting. So do you think that he's losing support inside Russia for this war? And if so, what does that mean for the future of this military conflict?
So I think Vladimir Putin has to be concerned about losing support, not just from the Russian population, but also from his inner circle. Again, Russia was expected to topple Zelensky's government immediately. That didn't happen. Take Kyiv, also didn't happen. Now Ukraine is on the counteroffensive in Kharkiv, and Russia is preparing for what is going to be extraordinarily destructive battles reminiscent of World War II in the Donbass and southern Ukraine as Russia seeks to build a land bridge to Odessa and the Transnistria in Moldova. What Putin is trying to do is ensure in the minds of Russians that the Soviet fight against Nazi Germany is interwoven in their minds, similar to the fight against NATO and the United States, which obviously nothing could be farther from the truth. And with Russia's economy cratered and a lot of soldiers not coming home to their parents, Russian citizens have to be thinking that they've been sold something that just doesn't correspond to reality. Yeah. And more importantly, even than that, is Putin's own inner circle that has to be doubting Putin's strategy at this point.
So what about the war itself? There were a lot of fears after Russia pulled back troops from Kyiv that they would absolutely dominate in the south and in the east, and that doesn't appear to have happened. So is Russia right now losing this war?
Yeah, I think so. Russia is losing, but, you know, so is Ukraine. If you look at all of the devastation in Ukraine and Russia's attacks on Ukrainian civilians. Just this weekend, they bombed a schoolhouse in Luhansk. I mean, the death and the destruction carries on, and I just fear that our darkest days are ahead of us. Vladimir Putin, according to Director CIA Burns over the weekend, he said Putin is going to double down. This is Putin's war. He can't afford to lose it. And sadly, that means that we may be looking at just even more violence and the Russian military raining down more hell on Ukraine's innocent civilians until they decide that it's time to stop. And I would emphasize that the military assistance the United States is providing, and our NATO allies as well, keeping Ukraine in the fight, that's what we need to do in order to stop Russia's war machine.
Exactly. President Biden just announced an additional $150 million in military support. So from a U.S. standpoint, it does seem like the Biden administration has really changed their tune in terms of how much they are willing to support Russia, or Ukraine rather, as this war continues on. Dan, we have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.